Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us on today's edition of Vertebra's Quarterly Conversation, also in the Deep Conversation. Uh, Today, we are diving into a topic that's shaping the way we acquire knowledge and also collaborate. Talking about social learning in the digital age, the power of online communities. And we all know that in a world where traditional learning methods are evolving, so many digital platforms are breaking barriers, fostering collaboration, and making education more interactive and accessible. Whether it's through online learning or peer-to-peer engagement or AI-driven tools, social learning is redefining how we share knowledge and grow together. To dive into this topic, we have Oluyomi Olushola Michael, a cross-functional industry product manager. With over 3 years of product management experience, a broader background in the technology space, Lushala has worked across various industries, including fintech, education, and e-commerce. He specializes in leading technical communication with third-party partners, collaborating internally to validate and test product requirements, ensuring the seamless development and timely execution of product roadmap. Welcome, Mr. Yomi Lushala. It's great to have
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here.
Great conversation. Uh, how would you define social learning? And in your opinion, why has it become a popular phenomenon over time?
So basically, social learning is basically the process of learning through interaction. That's just the basic explanation for social learning. However, to answer your question, the reason why it has become like very rampant is because we're in the age of social media. I mean, in the previous age, social media was not as rampant as it is now. But now you have, as the number of social media platforms that exist now is uncountable, ranging from streaming platforms to chatting platforms to imaging platforms to even AI platforms. So the main reason why it's gaining more ground is because we're actually in the age of social media, basically. We're in the age of interaction. Interaction is actually what sells, and that's why this is gaining more ground.
That's the
I'm not
point
sure
is
if
very
that answered your question.
action. Yeah, you answered quite correctly. And listening to my second question, you mentioned interaction, and I would like to
Mm.
know that through the interactions that this social learning apps gives us, how. So, what role do digital communities play in enhancing traditional learning methods? We all understand that before these digital technologies came on board, there were ways we were learning. People were also
Mhm.
excelling. So, how would you describe the roles that digital communities play in enhancing traditional learning methods?
Okay. So I would give this as a practical example. I mean, for those of us that learned in an age where social media was not very rampant, or should I say, we were not exposed to it because of the kind of country we were. We would understand that in the traditional learning, you go to class, you most likely write code on paper. There's no the platform to basically practice or do this hands-on experience on what you're learning is not there, and then you basically have to depend on what your lecturer had said to believe that that is what works in the world. However, with the advent of all these communities online, we are getting to see a change in even the way traditional education works. You are getting to see a reality where you're learning and practicing at the same time. There are a lot of tools online now, even communities where while you're learning, you have like a button to try it now, so you're able to actively take actions concerning it. And within that same space, you have a communication space where people are able to chat and send message. Oh, I didn't get this. This is the result I got. This is the result you got. That interaction was not there in the traditional space. So these online communities or online platforms that we have today has actually helped in a way to move education from the way the term would use when we're in school is la cala pro. So where you have all this education, all this knowledge, and then when it's time to practice it, it's not there. But with online communities, you're actually able to practice, get feedback on real life feedback on it, get people that are also doing the same thing, get their experience to come to you, and over time it gets better. Do you understand? So yes, this is what these communities have actually helped us to achieve.
I guess
Do you
the
understand?
kind of picture that these digital communities, digital learning platforms, have helped to enhance education has been interaction, according to your explanation.
Yeah.
The idea that um, you don't have to necessarily cram concepts in order to pass examinations. The idea that education is now more practical than ever before has made digital learning more attractive. Now, let me go to my next question. I would like to ask you about if you know of any standout examples of successful online communities, and according to you, how would you describe what makes them, successful as they are?
Uh Honestly, if I would think about it, I think we have Hot School. Hot School is an online learning platform, and they are basically built on community. Hot School, there's and they are the free open source ones where you have, like, let's say, Stack Overflow, you have the GitHub discussions, you have Product School, I mean, for product managers, you have Product HQ for product managers as well. You have it, quite a number of them, and basically what keeps them going is their community model. They didn't just two things. Let me not look on the community side alone. Two things. They have a community model that thrives. So you are not just going to learn, but after that, in the traditional approach or in the traditional learning perspective, you have what they call alumni, whatever they call it. Now, this alumni is not as effective because, I mean, when you join the alumni, you don't know how you are joining. You just have ID. You don't know if they do meetings. You don't know if they have a group. But with these online communities, you are in the community even before you finish. And while you're done with the program, I mean, while you're done with the certification course or the program you have actually imputed in to do, you are also able to have that experience of having people that have gone before you, that are in the industry, getting them to probably recommend you based on your assessment. We have a lot of them. There's also one I'm trying to remember the name. There are just a lot of them, and they are built on two major things: community, and secondly, value based approach. So you have Stack Overflow, which is specifically built for developers. You have Product School, which most likely developers don't know about, but you have product managers. And almost every product manager in the world today wants to take a course or certification from Product School. Why? Because there's a community. Once you pay for the course, there's a community you're able to join. There's a there's like a car course. There's a conversation. Oh, I need to test. I need to do A/B testing. I'm pushing my app to Meta, for example, and Meta is not approving. But we have people already that have friends or partners in Meta already within the particular group where you could have that conversation. So these are the things that makes these communities stand out. They don't just give you knowledge, but they give you a community of people that could help you solve real life problem that probably knowledge could not. I don't know if
Thank
that
you.
answers the
Thank you very much for that very insightful, you know, explanation. To
yeah.
summarize what you said, you mentioned that this platform don't just stop at educating you. They
Mhm.
move forward by ensuring that you get the right mentorship. There is basically a community around you, whereby you have the right support to continue your learning journey, and that's what has made them, stand out and powerful so far. Now, I would like to ask you, what are the key factors that make a digital learning community effective? What do you think are the key factors that make a digital learning community very effective?
I would say I would start with the fact that here in this part of the world, especially Africa, we love free things. We like freebies. So I would say gamification. So you say you have communities like Product School that give probably free resources. You have templates for roadmaps, templates for this for free. They even have some micro certifications that they give for free. So when you take this micro certification, you can see the value that a micro certification can give you. What else would you? How would you not want to pay for 2K or 2.5 course that will probably give you more value? And another thing you have is Q&A sessions. This is very, very popular. You have Twitter live Q&A sessions within these communities where they come and talk to you about uh, questions and answers, come to answer questions you have in the industry or regarding the topic or subject matter that you joined them for. Then you have live sessions like this where you get to learn one or two things. Then another thing is the content, or should I say, the content, so to say, of the learning process in school. Traditional approach. When I say school, I mean the traditional approach of learning. When you start the semester or the session, you have like a courseware where they tell you this, and that is what you are doing. But at the end of the day, it gets derailed on the way. You just realize that we're supposed to be doing this, sir. No, we'll do that one later. Let's do this. No, with these digital communities, it's not like that. From the start, you already know what and what and what and what you have to do. So you already know, okay, I would have an assessment by this time, so I have to take this more serious. It helps basically to guide that part and even helps to know which kind of conversations or discussions to have in advance. One other thing that it does is, or one other thing that makes these communities really effective is the fact that you can validate your information in school. I'm sorry to say, but we know Nigeria economy educational system. Even if you're we all went into we all went to Nigerian school. So you have lecturers
Exactly.
tell you things that are outdated, but nobody to validate, nobody to say, sorry, sir, this is not good. So even if you know the real thing, there are a lot of other students that are actually taking that trash and putting it in their brain and will probably go out there and display it out there. But when it comes to digital communities, right there in the comment section, let's not even talk about all these old schools and the likes. Let's talk about YouTube, as
For
simple as
example,
YouTube is. Yes, you have people talk, and on the comment section, you see people having, sorry, this does not work. This cannot work. This will cause future problems. So there's a more like a quality control. There's a curated quality control by the people for the people. So it makes it easy for you to be sure of the knowledge you're getting. For someone like us, someone like me and a couple of friends that I've asked, over time, when you see a particular content, the first place you go naturally with
the
your
comment
head is go to the comment section to see what are they saying, to be able to know if this is valid. And that's
yeah,
what digital learning communities have
learning
actually brought
community.
to us.
Yeah.
And then with the advent of AI and everything, I work with an AI organization with that handles conversation. With the advent of AI, it becomes more easy. You don't have to learn everything. All you have to do is get to I have a couple of courses that I might actually share with the host later, where you don't necessarily even have to take a full course. Just it asks you what are the knowledge gaps you have and you want to fill. So if I want to learn about roadmap alone, I can be I can get curated courses or lessons that are specific for roadmaps. So I don't have to take the entire course. So these are things that, I mean, this is the future of learning, and this is basically where digital learning community is actually taking us to, and that is what makes it more effective than the traditional approach. I'm not sure if this answers the question.
I must say that you dropped a lot of points, from gamification, which is like offering a freemium model of the products themselves, uh, by making sure that people have a sneak peek of what the whole concept is about. And also you mentioned something about an AI, whereby you only need to fill the knowledge gap which you want to fill. Unlike an institutional system whereby whether you know it or not, for as long as you're registered in the course,
You take
everything is
it.
going to be downloaded for you. Uh,
Yeah.
but do you consider digital communities a distraction? Or do you consider
Uh,
online learning, okay, online learning, for example, do you consider it a distraction?
so it depends. It depends, yeah. It
Let's go on a
depends.
lower level. Let's talk about um, products that affect students from, let's say, secondary school to 200 level, for example. These are formative age of young adults. And how would you ensure that these digital online communities are not a distraction to them, basically? Are you still with us? I'm not sure our guest is with us. Okay, our guest is back. I'm not sure you got my
Yeah.
question actually. Yeah, I was asking about online learning being a distraction, and I'm
Mhm.
trying to bring it down to young adults level. Let's say students in senior secondary school stroke 200 level, for example. These are very young formative years of young adults. And these are years where they are most vulnerable because the things you put into them at such age will stick forever. And the habits they form at such age will stick forever. Now, there is
Mm.
a tendency that uh, consuming online content becomes addictive. But there's also a tendency that it's a distraction because you often want to go to another tab to check out things that are irrelevant. Of course, to wallow away your time in things that are not beneficial. So how do you ensure that, well, first of all, do you think online learning digital communities are a distraction? And if they are or they're not, how do you ensure that they are much more beneficial to this segment of our society?
So I would say that for the distraction part, it depends. Either you are a secondary school student or you are doing your masters. It depends. It depends. It depends on the goal. It depends on the. It depends on two things: how structured the online learning platform is, because the platform itself can also be distracting. You could understand why UX is actually very important. You have some really, really bad UX where you're just like the site of the platform is literally giving you a headache. So yeah, there's that factor. But if that factor is not there, I mean the UX of the platform you're using is actually good, then it takes a level of intentionality by the person learning to actually be able to not be distracted. Because again, the whole point of social learning or digital learning is for you to be able to interact. So you are not just learning on those platforms, you are learning on Instagram, every reels you move up, every channel. So while you're taking dedicated courses on maybe like Coursera, Alt School, and all those that I've mentioned, you probably
Udemy, yeah.
also would learn. Do you get? You probably would also learn on Instagram. There are some words that I heard for the first time on Instagram. So you probably learn, although they are not called active learning, they are passive, but it's also learning. So now, to answer your second question, where you said, how can we ensure that your learning is actually as effective? I mean, algorithm does not lie. So
Hmm.
the best thing to do is take conscious efforts as a learner, as a user of platforms like this. One thing I can assure you is if you are consistently consuming knowledge based content, that means today you are not checking very dark man. Sorry for
Hmm.
using that word. Next tomorrow, you are checking what is happening in this particular place. Next tomorrow, at the end of the day, your social platform is destroyed. But imagine you're taking a course on products management, and the next thing that pops up in your Instagram is also relating to products management. Your distraction is actually not very, very, very wide. So in a way, you are still within the confines of this. However, one thing I've seen young people tell me is that this is practically impossible. It is impossible to make sure that you're no, but I'm telling you, it's very possible. There are people that don't have this kind of content on their For You page that you have on your particular platform. So what it requires is intentionality. And I've also seen quite a number of people. For me, what I do is when I'm off mobile, I allow only my WhatsApp to be active. And because I people find it funny that I'm saying I'm on DND mode, but I'm allowing WhatsApp. But because I have a lot of people around me that probably don't really make calls, but they send messages. So aside from that, every other thing is off. I'm able to focus on not even just learning, even on work. So it will take intentionality to be able to get the best out of anything. Just like in traditional approach, there are distractions in school, even in traditional approach. But then it takes an intentionality to be able to learn. The same way applicable here. I don't know if
Yeah,
that makes any sense.
your explanation are very valid, and yeah, I've been able to pick up a lot of points from intentionality to to UX design itself to treating algorithms as as important as they are supposed to be. Uh,
Yeah.
you talked on UI and UX, and it leads to my next question. Uh,
Okay.
so, what do you think are the best policies to consider? While building a social and online learning tool or community. When we talk about building an app, for example,
Mhm.
entering the market for, educational content, for example. What are those things to consider? From a product manager's perspective, to
Okay.
ensure that you are reaching the right people and you are also communicating the right value to the end users eventually.
Okay. So, like I said earlier on, that um, uh, gamification. Basically, you're having point system. People, especially Nigerians, we are used to the education where we have to write exams and get grades. We are used to somebody being the first class student, second class student. So if you are building something like that, you have to have a part of the system that actually encourages a scoring system. So maybe by the number of hour you spend, after every hour you spend, you get a particular point, and that point can be redeemed to do X, Y, Z in the system. So this is very important if you want people to keep coming back, because education is not something that is appealing to most Nigerians. We just need it for the certificate, actually, for the prestige. So if you want them to come back and back, there has to be that thing that they could actually show off about. Secondly, this might not be like the main purpose. I'm actually not talking about the main things, which are we all know what should be there. There should be a platform for them to be able to take courses, comment, and all those things. I'm not going to be focusing on those, but I'm focusing on these parts that we don't often look at. So, like I said, the gamification process, then this gamification should definitely have engagement metrics. For example, who is leading? Like I said, we are used to this process where we want to know the first class student. I mean, so if you're learning with people, who is leading, what stage am I? If you check this app that allows you to learn language, for every new word
Duolingo.
that you learn, yes, for every new word you learn, you get a point, you get 2 points, you get 3 points. So this is very important. Then, secondly, security. We are in cybersecurity has become a very major part of the world. I don't know if you heard, like few days ago, I heard that Amazon was hacked,
Yeah.
and Amazon said no. Sorry, Oracle. Oracle said no, they were not hacked. Blah blah blah. At the end of the day, we are in that particular situation. So at the end of the day, you are building a social or online learning platform where people will be talking. There will be DMs. People will be talking about their secrets. I mean, especially teenagers, they are used to opening up to strangers. You have a lot of online. It makes it when you're online, you are not scared to talk to the person because you know they cannot come and beat you. So
Easy.
you have people literally, you have people's that is the consciousness you have to have. that you have people's secrets basically living within your system. So you have to be very intentional with compliance, PDPL, GDPR, all these basically data law, especially the ones that are dominant in Nigeria. Although Nigeria doesn't really have heavy data laws like that, but yeah, there are data laws that governs this particular process. So you want to ensure that they are guided, because you don't want a situation where somebody came to your platform to learn and then tomorrow they are being bullied online for one or two things. Then the final thing, which is something I've been really, really looking forward to in Nigeria that I've not really gotten, localized content. We need
Localized
people.
content.
Yes, we need people who would not just and this is something that is actually very that is growing in countries like Dubai, countries like Saudi Arabia, countries like Qatar. You have localized content. You have people doing podcasts in Arabic, like doing actual product podcast in Arabic. Let's have stuffs like that in our local language, if not all the language, the basic languages, so that people who probably could not afford education, which is why most people are actually moving to social or online digital tools, that can now afford to go to school and all that, they can also be able to learn from the POV of their language. And at the end of the day, education is not just about English, it's about the value you're able to take out of it or how to apply it at the end of the day. So these are few things that I know that could be really implemented, could be considered when you are, I mean, aside from the basic functionality that people talk about, these are a few things I feel like should be considered.
Uh,
I
yeah,
mean, yeah.
really raised very strong points to consider why we build online communities or digital learning tools. Now, let's talk about disability and accessibility. How do we ensure that people with disability, are included? How do we ensure inclusivity, while building these tools?
Uh, so as I said, it's I don't know how to explain it, but we are in Nigeria. So either we like it or not, there are still some people that will not be included. There is this huge digital divide. So some would probably have access to it, some won't have access to it. But one thing that we should always note is to ensure that people, I mean, the basic requirement
Hmm.
for digital learning is to have a digital device. So someone that has a digital device should be able to access your resources. So either they are using a tablet, a mobile phone, a laptop, whatever it is they are using, they should be able to access your resources. And that's the main challenge. That's the major way you can be able to solve the problem basically of inclusiveness. And accessibility, like I said, is basically the same thing. Where in Nigeria, there will
Hmm.
always be people who don't have good internet. There will be people who has lesser there are people who have lesser access to A or B or C. The most important thing is to ensure that as long as people have access to the basic needs, which is a digital device and a network to access it, your system should be reliable enough to reach them. Do you understand? And
Thank you
maybe
very
we
much
get
for
uh
your point. I mean, you mentioned internet, and it made me laugh because even we in the urban areas we suffer from internet. I mean, we are in
yeah,
meetings and with quizzes, but yeah, we have to ensure that we get the basics right, like you said.
yeah,
Mobile
yeah.
phones, digital devices, to ensure that people get connected. We have
Mhm.
like two more questions before we go. I don't know if any of our participants have questions. They can always drop in the comments. What trends are you seeing online that is exciting to you? About the future of education, about the future of online learning, about the future of digital communities.
Mm, one particular one is peer learning. Peer learning. The first time I heard about it was a few years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago, and it blew my mind that you could put people together in a group and tell both of them to be teaching each other. We both of us can be in a group, and even though there's a general class, we have a period where both of us are just having thought process, doing practicals together. The peer learning process is just amazing, and it is what helps us to see. It helps people to build that confidence. If you can speak, the idea behind peer learning is if you can talk to the little people in your group, then you can be able to communicate with the larger group of people. And this is a very, very huge shift from the traditional approach. So yes, it's a very, very major one that I've seen that I think I really, really like. Then another one is where AI is going. That one is boundless. AI is crazy, like extremely crazy. It's going to a place where I mean, what it's no longer in news that we have ChatGPT, we have Perplex AI, we have a lot of them where you basically have conversations with them. I saw a research recently where researchers were saying that these AI system are beginning, especially conversational AI system, are beginning to encourage mental disorders. Like people are basically loving up on the AI, having conversations, daily conversation, getting bored because they are bored. They have conversation as though the AI is their boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it is. And you have to imagine the possibility if AI could be strong enough to replace physical interaction between two humans. You can imagine what it can do.
What is
Test assessment, video recognition, tracking if you're in class, a lot of all those things, tracking if your attention was in class, all those things are places where AI has actually excelled. And like I gave the example I gave the other time, we are moving into a place where I don't have to take 2 weeks worth of course because I need to learn about roadmap. All I have to do is just talk about the knowledge gap I want to fill, and then the AI looks into the entire courseware and checks all the other ones that I have. It believes I have actually gotten to know, and then only reviews to me the ones that I need to know. And this is really, really amazing. But I believe everybody on this call have taken courses before, and most of it you just nexted it because like you just kept clicking on next because you feel like this ones I'm an expert in this already. Just waiting to hit that particular one you're looking for. With AI, it becomes easy because the AI loops through that entire system and is able to actually find exactly what you need. And I'm not talking about filtering, just filtering like we had in the traditional way. I'm talking about advanced internal checking, filtering by every single word, every single letter that is within the course. So yeah, these are trends that I'm really, really, really looking forward to, and yeah,
you know,
seeing them in action.
your last point is very relatable for me because recently, I think last year I took a course, and there were about three sections of the course that I
Mhm.
already had an idea. And what I did was simple. I just put on my system and I was doing something else, just to run down the time. Now imagine I have an AI that would, ask me which knowledge gap exactly am I trying to bridge. I would have saved such a time, and focus my
Exactly.
energy on things. So that
Yeah.
is really very, very important. Uh, my question before the last question says, how can educators make the
Mhm.
most and students make the most of these digital communities? Because you remember that we are in an age, we are in an information age, and our main challenge in this age is information overload. There's information literally everywhere. How do we ensure focus, whether as students, whether as educators, whether as MCCS, to ensure that we get the most out of these digital communities?
Yeah. So if I have a chance to actually speak to my educators, when I say my educators, my lecturers in school, I would say digital learning is not a threat to you.
Hmm.
Let's sir, please let's do online class. No, we can't do yeah, it's not a threat to you. It's not a threat to you. So let's have an online community. It's not a threat to you. You could have it could be more effective. Learning can be easy even for you as an educator with digital tools. And for the student, what I would say is your knowledge are not buried in books. They are not buried in those videos. You can actually learn from your peers. You can learn from those comment sessions. You can learn from interactions with people. You can learn from, I mean, you hear It's a trend that is even getting very popular now. You hear, I'm an introvert. I say, meet this person, I'm an introvert. Okay, I have a lot of people come to me and say, I want to be a product manager. I want to see, I don't know how you've been able to do it. I want to be able to get to where you are. And one of the things I try to tell them is you need to talk to people. You need to meet people. My experience might
Relationship.
not be enough for you. I
Yeah,
oftentimes don't agree to do mentors, like single-handedly mentor people, because I tell them my experience is one half. I want you to be better than me, so get another mentor. Get another mentor. You say, you know, I'm an introvert. I don't like talking. Okay, okay, no problem. But yeah, I just wanted to buttress the point that
yeah,
we need. If I have an opportunity to talk to a lot of people who are learners or trying to get to a place of professionalism in one field or the other right now, I would say, what's the word now? Like leverage on peer-to-peer learning, leverage on mentorship, leverage on interaction. These are gifts. It's basically gifts to us, to the world that we have. In I remember university days, there is not, yes, maybe when we're preparing for exam, that's when we talk about it. And we don't even talk about new things. We talk about what we have been taught by a lecturer.
exactly.
So our conversations is basically inclined to what one man or one woman has said. But in this age that we are, there's so much things that you can learn that is not basically pressured down. It's not a funnel. It's basically the scope is bright. So my advice for them would be keep an open mind. Yes, I know you are an introvert, but as an introvert can type messages. Introvert can, I'm shy, I don't like to be seen. Okay, okay, no problem. Do podcasts, listen to podcasts, drop
Hmm.
comments, drop comments. I know Eric came to Port Harcourt recently. I don't know if you know Eric is one of the guys commenting us on Instagram. But Eric came to Port Harcourt recently, and a friend of mine said, I've been longing to meet Eric, but I'm scared. I was like, scared of what? Because of him, I had to attend the event. And when we got to the event, I said, we need to see Eric. And after the event, everybody was greeting Eric, and I just said, hi, I need to see you. How are you doing? It was like, yeah. And all I did was connect them. I looked at them from afar, and the introverted guy was talking so much. And I'm wondering, where did the voice come
Energy
from?
came
So
from.
exactly. So sometimes the limit we have is the one in our head. Is the
Hmm.
one in our head. So the if I would have an opportunity to talk to people that are learning, is don't limit yourself, don't box yourself. That knowledge is not just in the textbooks, it's not just in the library. There's knowledge everywhere. Like I said, from beginning of this point, I've said, like social learning, basically it's learning based on interaction. Those Instagram reels, those comment session, thread, Facebook. Facebook is for our mommy and daddy, and check there. Knowledge is everywhere. Be open at the end of the day, and it becomes easy. Then, if I have an opportunity to talk to people that are um,
Products.
building products now, what I would probably tell them is build valuable product. Don't do the same thing that everybody is doing, because everybody
Be
just wants
different.
to learn. They want to make money. And
Yeah.
you build a product that allow people to upload courses, and then you put money on it and you say you are collecting 20%, 30%. I've experienced this because I've tried putting some of my courses out, and you hear some of this part, and the painful part of it is when you check the platform, the functionalities are not really there. I can't assess people in the best way possible. I still tell people Udemy is one of the easiest place to actually learn without learning. You can basically end everything and still collect a certificate. I know quite a number of organizations that don't accept. I This is no shade
Udemy.
to Udemy, but yeah, that don't accept certificate from Udemy. You have platforms like Coursera that would not let you move forward until
Without
you
even an
finish.
assignment. Yeah.
You have platforms like Product School that you cannot collect that. Product HQ, you will not collect that certificate. I did a course with Product HQ around one. I got that at a discounted rate, but the cost was around $1,300, I think. But even that course, despite the fact that I don't pay my money, they still bullshit me. You have to finish this. You have to pass this assessment before you move to the next one. And once you fail the assessment, they close up
Just
all your marks. stuff, you have to start afresh.
That's all very
Now,
good.
these are platforms that enforce learning on you. They make you yourself, you know, if I'm paying this money, I have to learn. So for people that, when people see somebody graduate from Product HQ, they know that there's value. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So all these are startup funders should note these things. Don't just build to make money, build to also make that impact at the end of the day. So these are just my advice, and I hope it helps.
Yeah, it's been a very exciting and insightful, 40, 45 minutes since we started this conversation. And I really wish it wouldn't end because there's definitely so much to unwrap. But we've definitely picked up a lot of lessons from how to build, to how to maintain, and how to cultivate digital learning communities. Mr. Oli Omelushola Michael is a product manager with over 3 years of experience in e-commerce education. And he also works for a third party to test application and also ensure their functionality. I want to thank you for finding time to speak with us today. And it is our hope and prayer that you'll be available for us in the near future to continue this conversation.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, and so our participants, thank you for joining us. We hope that you pick up 1 or 2 lessons. We'll convene in a few months and be back with even more exciting conversations. Thank you for joining us. Have a lovely evening. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you.